Hey everybody, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're looking at one of the strangest superhero shows we've ever seen,
One Punch Man. This pretty odd anime follows Saitama, the world's most powerful hero who can defeat any villain with just one hit. Now his life is pretty boring.
Yeah. And you think about, the concept sounds great, and then you actually become that powerful. It's like, why aren't all the villains gone yet? Like, there should be, no villains whatsoever. All of them are too scared to be villains, or they all get killed off after one hit. It's like, that's it. That's the end of villainy.
Now, full disclosure, we first attempted to watch this series in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And we just couldn't get into it. We don't know why. We watched the first episode and we walked away. Then we went to visit my cousin and his wife. And we were talking about anime as we always do, and he says, you've got to watch this, it's really great. So, fast forward to a little while later, we found it on demand with an English dub.
Right.
We watched the first episode, watched the second episode. Now we're waiting to see the second season with the English dub.
Right. Because on Netflix, that's one of the anime that people can't figure out why it only has a Japanese dub. It's never explained. Netflix has no explanation for it, but that and another anime don't seem to have English dubs.
Right. But it's much easier to understand and to really get into with the English dub. And usually for us, watching the Japanese and reading the subtitles is real easy. The same when we watch K-comedy, K-drama. But I don't know. I think for this particular show, so much of the English dub conveys things that don't come across when you're watching it, hearing Japanese and seeing the subtitles. It just made it much more relatable, hearing all the nuances, the expressions, and the conversation between he and he's the what's
He's
the
like
guy?
I think he's some type of cyborg, right?
Yes, and what's his name? Genos,
yeah.
Yes. Hearing that conversation actually taking place, and then the banter between him and the monsters and the villains he destroys in one punch, it's much more enjoyable hearing with an English dub.
And they all know what he can do, so it's just like, oh, you dare defy me? And they'll just go on, and they'll go on, and then go on, all of a sudden, and then they're gone. Like, oh, here we go again, and if one hit's gone, then he's going doing something else.
Now, seeing the backstory and seeing how normal he was going to work with his briefcase and everything before he took upon his regimen. And it was, tell him about this crazy regimen that made him
there was this guy that apparently ate too much lobster, and he was some half man, half lobster thing, and he was going to kill a kid because he drew on his shell. It was some unflattering stuff on his shell, and he was just going to kill him. He said, you can't just kill a kid because you don't like what he did. And then he proceeds to beat the heck out of the crab villain, and he actually could take him down even though he had no powers at the time. And from then on, he trained every day for 3 years straight with 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100-mile run, all these things every day.
100-mile run?
No, it was
10 miles.
I think it was 10 miles every day, I think. And every day for 3 years. And then he lost all his hair, some brain cells, and he became so powerful that one hit was enough to beat a villain.
Yes, and you know that he's a good guy and he cares, but like you said, he lost some brain cells.
And he lost emotion.
Yes.
Which is explained in the first episode that he doesn't have a lot of excitement and stuff. He drove himself so much, he lost some of his emotions with it. So it's explained in the first episode why he's kind of like this. Like, he just gets joy out of smaller things because the bigger stuff doesn't even affect him anymore.
Right. And he's like, oh, maybe a challenge. And he's like, oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah, every time. And then they're like, what do you mean the same thing? You just hit him with one punch. And then everyone freaks out, but he's like, oh, this is it.
Now, Genos, he keeps calling Saitama master, my master. Would you please train me, my master?
He's like,
and it looks like to me that at some point this character may turn to a villain. He really idolizes One Punch Man, and he knows he can do anything, and no matter how Genos is upgraded and how his creator increases his power and longevity and makes him stronger and all these other things. Still, of course, One Punch Man defeats everything with one punch. And then there's this other character who's a registered hero, who's, I think he's the number one hero, and he's a real jerk.
Right.
And he keeps talking to him and telling him, but you're this and
you're a class C hero and stuff. Yeah, class S are the highest, and then for A, and then B, and then it goes lower down into points where it's like, why did you register?
But he's telling Genos that he shouldn't even be hanging out with him, and he wants him to make appearances with him and all of this. And to me, it looks like at some point maybe Genos might turn on Saitama.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I get. I could be wrong because we haven't began watching season 2 with English dub. But right now, he's, he really idolizes him. But you know how in a lot of shows, a lot of characters you see, the character that they idolize and worship, they end up turning against because they don't do something right or they do something wrong. They think
kind of like the syndrome.
Right,
effect.
They do it in a different way than they expect, and they get angry. And and I think that's what's going to happen with Genos. That's what I think.
Right. And there's also another thing besides the weirdness of it, with this absurd, surreal comedy and action, and the level of weirdness that the villains and the heroes have, and the names and the powers and stuff. There's actually a long-standing theory that One Punch Man is in the same universe as My Hero Academia, and perhaps a prequel to it, because they have the same setup in terms of having a hero agency, and you have to register and get your license to be a hero and go through tests, and people think maybe this is like the first, when it was first beginning.
Right, and the music's the same. And also the action scenes and different things look just like My Hero Academia. Yeah. So I agree. I think they are in the same universe.
Right. It's long before All Might and all these characters. So if it's true, then that would be pretty interesting to see. Like in the history book, you see One Punch Man. So whatever happened to that guy?
Right.
So yeah, that would be interesting if it's true. In these two shows, they're vastly different in their tone and the action and the story and stuff. They're in the same universe. Because it's pretty weird.
Another thing about this show is the villains are really unique, extraordinary, bizarre, as you said, weird. And they're not like many characters you see in other shows. And then another thing that's really weird is they really like to show a lot of male nudity. Like, wait a minute. Even the villains.
Right? And it's so casual. Like, no one ever says, like, do you have to do that? Like, with Armstrong, says, you have to strip to fight the bad guy. Like, no. If it happens, if their clothes happen to come off, it's just, and then they'll just go home and put some clothes on and they're done. I guess this happens so much, no one's fazed by it.
And sometimes the villains show up nude. And you're like, why is this guy nude, right?
Why are you wearing nothing? Why are you just wearing a thong? What are you doing? And the villains, oh my gosh, you're just most of them are pretty just psychotic. Yeah, each one that comes out, and they'll go on like Mojo Jojo for 20 minutes, rambling how they're gonna beat them, and they need to fear them, and yada yada. And then he's like, sure. And then they're baffled the fact that he's not scared of them or trying to make some witty retort or a pun or anything. They just like, okay, I'm just gonna kill you now, and then they just get beaten up.
Right. And then for the finale, there's kind of a typical ending in terms of the type of evil that shows up.
Yeah.
And we don't want to have any spoilers in case you haven't seen it, but the final episode really is making us want to see this season 2 really, really badly to see what happens.
Right. And it's nothing where it's like a giant cliffhanger. It's just like you knew something like this was going to come along, just not probably this soon.
Right. Now, I have to say, in terms of writing, the writing's really good. It's not what you expect. It's not plot-driven. There's not a lot of depth.
There probably will be next season, considering that's how it goes.
But for how it is written, it really fits the show itself. It gives it texture, even though it's not really in-depth and complicated. And the villains are interesting. I think every single one is being of course he kills them in one punch, so there's like one appearance only. There's no Batman syndrome,
right,
where they keep coming back. And the heroes are also, a lot of them are narcissistic and self-absorbed.
I'm like, this is probably why Stain was pissed
exactly.
when it said these are the heroes. They just want money and fame, and they're just like idols and stuff. Like, this might be what he's talking about. This is kind of why he wants to destroy heroes.
He would have a field day in this time period because, they are so self-absorbed and narcissistic that they want to fight other heroes, destroy other heroes' credibility, and destroy
the reputation.
Right.
So you even had one that was just
and they
trolling.
get jealous of other heroes.
Yeah, you even had one that was just trolling Saitama to have the public turn on him because he was Class C hero because he passed physical, but he only made by 1 point on the intelligence test. So yeah, and he was kind of pretty much trolling him and getting the people to turn on him, and he didn't understand anything that was going on, so it wasn't really working out too well. So, like, yeah, this is probably why Stain gets pissed at the heroes now. So, it's just the same universe. So, like, and you see there are some nice heroes, like the guy on the bike.
Right.
He really is trying his best, even though he doesn't have major powers. Mm-hmm. But there are ones that are pretty just like,
Now, that makes me think of one other thing that's really interesting about this particular series. As we mentioned, Saitama has a real big change after his training and becoming the hero. He doesn't have a hero name, so the show is called One Punch Man, but he hasn't been given a hero name yet. Mm-hmm. And he starts off really low, as you mentioned, because he got a perfect score on the physical because he outperformed every challenge physically, but won on the intelligence, and he barely made it. But slowly but surely, he's going up the ranks. No one knows who he is. No one's familiar with him. And when he shows up, they're like, who are you? And you're a hero. And I think that makes this show really interesting. Unlike every other superhero show you've seen where the hero does something spectacular, magnanimous, and becomes famous, this doesn't happen for Saitama. Ever. And when it seems like that is going to happen, he downplays it and he gives some other hero the credit, so he remains anonymous. So that makes this show really interesting.
It really turns it on its head. It's nothing like you expect. So if it isn't the same universe Hero Academia, once again, it's a whole different story. You're not just seeing like the same thing done, different time period, or just copy paste, and you're seeing two different stories of the progression of what started the Hero Society all the way to now, where it's pretty, it's pretty fragile from the beginning anyway, considering everyone acts towards heroes and the heroes themselves and the villains. The Hero Society is pretty fragile in both shows.
Right. So, just want to say, besides the nudity, this show really is not intended for very young viewers. So if you have younger brothers, sisters, kids, or whatever, make sure that they're not really young and you're allowing them to watch the show. This is not for young viewers. You can see it on Toonami when it airs normally. Yeah. Or you can go to Netflix and watch it in Japanese without the English dub.
Yeah, if you prefer to see it subtitled, you can do that.
Right. Now, if you've seen this show, let us know what you think in the comments below. If you've heard of it and seen it, how did you first hear about this show? And are you really excited for season 2? Like we are, if you're waiting for the English dub. But if you're watching in the original Japanese, then let us know how you're liking season 2 so far. No spoilers.
Right. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
Flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Hit her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket.